Make no mistake, friends, this is intended to be an unbiased review of this game, as all of my reviews hopefully will be. I will say from the beginning that this game does not deserve most of the hate that it has actually been getting, but it does have some flaws, and those flaws are more disappointing than they are annoying, bad or stupid. It is important for potential buyers of Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance to understand that this is an action game with some, albeit light, RPG elements. This is not an RPG game with action elements. This is important for people to understand, as it seems to be one of the biggest reasons why the game is getting some negative reviews. So the review will take place in 3 parts. The first will be an overview of what Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance is. The second part will be all of the pros of the game that I have discovered after putting in 18 hours so far. And the third and final part will be all of the cons of the game that I've discovered again in my 18 hours of the game. And one final point after the review is said and done, I will use my own 1 to 7 scale quality rating. I will do this with all of the reviews that I will be doing on this channel. The reason why I have chosen 1 to 7 is as follows. A 1 rating is very poor, a 2 rating is poor, a 3 rating is below average, a 4 is average, a 5 is above average, a 6 is good, and finally 7 is very good. Okay, so without further ado, we will get into the overview, part 1 of this review. But if you haven't yet, please subscribe to this new YouTube channel, Boutus Gaming. I am on Twitch as well. I stream to Twitch. I'm a new streamer, a new gaming content coverer, both on YouTube and on Twitch. So you can find me on both of those platforms. Subscribe, follow, like, share, and you know the drill. Okay, let's go. Okay, so part 1, the overview. Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance is set in the Forgotten Realms universe of Dungeons & Dragons and follows the quests of 4 members of the Hall of Champions, Mithril Hall. The 4 characters you can pick from are Dritz Do Erden, who is a drow assassin type character armed with 2 scimitars. He is quick, stealthy, and is the main guy. Catty Bree, she is the only female, and she is an archer / ranger type person with some healing abilities. Wolfgar the barbarian, he is basically the wrecking ball of the party. And finally we have my favourite, and who I'm currently playing at the moment, Bruna Battlehammer. He is a dwarf tank. The game has numerous campaigns, each of which have 3 acts to them, and at the time of this review there includes 2 final dungeon runs. Each of those dungeons also have 3 acts in them. One is to kill the beholder, and the other is to kill the dragon, because what would Dungeons & Dragons be without a dungeon with a dragon in it to kill? You can level up to level 21, you can find loot at numerous different rarity levels, and you can play with up to 3 other companions online. So that moves us on to part 2, the pros of the game. The pros of this game are the following, and bear in mind I am trying to be as objective as possible. The first pro is something that should actually please most of the gaming community, and that is a cast iron promise by the developers to not include any predatory microtransactions, which so far they have kept their word on. Now, yes, it is true there is a deluxe version to buy, which is, by the way, the version that I bought, which comes with a launch day expansion pack, which some people have claimed is essentially a form of microtransaction or a quick cash grab. But that is, in my opinion, far more acceptable to me than the habitual, predictable, fourth wall immersion breaking addition to most other RPG games these days: the in-game real world cash shop. Pro number 2 is the fun the game can bring to a group of friends, and make no mistake, this is the game's strongest point. Me and my small guild use Steam Chat to start and find games with each other, in which we use the Steam Chat overlay to chat with each other by voice chat as we rampage through the campaigns. This is what online gaming should be about. This. Having fun with your friends, making friends even. For example, our regular team consists of 2 Americans, 1 British person, that's me, and a friend from Costa Rica. So that is, in my opinion, gaming at its pinnacle. Pro number 3 is the adrenaline-fueled combat, in which moves and devastating combos can be performed. The combat is a third-person-esque hack and slash, but it's not a simple point the mouse button at a skeleton, for example, and either just hold it down or just go click, 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 click. This is different. There are many different moves, many combos. You can perform a variety of different chain attacks. These can have varying different effects on the enemy, such as stunning them, silencing them, shocking them, and so on and so on. Pro number 4 is the loot system and character customization. There are 5 different levels of randomized loot to find. This includes common, uncommon, rare, epic, and finally legendary. At the time of writing, I have a level 18 Bruno Battlehammer Dwarven Tank who only owns 2 pieces of legendary equipment so far. And you can allocate a total of 8 pieces of visible equipment to your character. It is also important to note that you can change the colour of your armour and other equipment at the merchant shop at the base camp. Pro number 4 is the visuals and optimization. Now, we know that the current GPU market is abysmal, and I know this more than most because it just so happened to coincide with the time in which I was attempting to build my new dream rig. I could get most of the components in time, but I was of course building my rig during the height of the GPU drought, which appears to see no end in sight. The best I could get was a PNY GTX 1650 Super 4GB, which surprisingly I fell in love with, by the way. So my point being that even on a 4GB card, less capable GPUs, the game runs at high settings, 60 frames per second, flawlessly, and looks amazing. Pro number 5 is the sound effects, the music, the voice acting, and the like. The voice acting and scripting feels very well written and is sometimes extremely witty, and this helps to bring the campaigns alive and makes them feel and look and sound more vibrant. So this all being said, it's time to get on to the cons of the game. What is negative about this game, and are the many myriad bad reviews justified or not? Let's dive into that. So con number 1 is a big one for many of the RPG loving gamers who may have grown up playing pen and paper Dungeons and Dragons, just as I did, by the way. Now, for those people, you need to know that there is no character creation and no spellcasters of any kind at game launch. This has put off a great many people, and at first I was one of those people too. I hated the concept of a Dungeons and Dragons game with no character creation, but personally, for me, I made my peace with that and tried to look at the plus side. Con number 2 is the level cap at launch of 21. This, in my opinion, is far too low for a game that is quite easy to level up. I have played for 18 hours and my Dwarven tank is at level 18. So that works out at roughly 1 level every hour. Though it is important to note I do have a second character, the Barbarian Wolfgar, and he's at level 9. So this is a huge factor that will determine any game's longevity. Con number 3 is the often lamented AI. Now, a disclaimer. The AI is not that bad, not as bad as it has been made out to be by many people. A lot of people seem to be judging all of the enemy AI by the AI of the level 1 goblins in the very first act of the very first campaign. Newsflash, they were meant to be stupid. That being said, however, although the AI does improve as you go along, it still could do much better. Con number 4 is the lack of matchmaking and crossover between Steam and Xbox Game Pass. I had one of our group who decides to play his games through Xbox Game Pass and I through Steam. And due to this, we were unable to play together, of course, which was a great disappointment because myself and every other member of our group got the game through Steam, so he was left out, which made us all feel bad, goes without saying. This being said, however, the developers have stated that they are working on a cross-platform addition to a patch as we speak. And finally, con number 5 is the frequency in which supposedly rare loot drops. Now, as I've stated before, I only have 2 pieces of legendary gear at the moment, but so-called epic gear and rare loot drops literally all the time. I hope that in future, developers of games look up the concept of the word rare. As if an item drops all of the time, it is, by its definition, not rare. Well, that's it folks, that is my 18-hour plus review of Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. If I was to give this game a rating on my scale of 1 to 7, I would give it a 5, that is above average. It is above average game, it could get better with the 2 free planned DLCs. There are 2 DLCs that are going to be launched at some point that are free, and then there are going to be paid ones after that. We are apparently going to get cross-platform play and some spellcasters. I have also heard on the grapevine that the maximum level is to be raised. I hope they do that. There are going to be some new campaigns, new levels. This is their chance to implement long-lasting endgame content. The level progression has to be slow for hardcore players. The loot needs to increase, the enemy type needs to increase, the enemy AI needs to do better. Do that and this game will have possibly a much longer run than a lot of people ever thought possible. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've gotten this far, thank you very much. If you like what you see on my videos, my gameplay and my new reviews, then subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Boutus Gaming. I am also on Twitch, Boutus Gaming. You can find me there. I stream various games. And by all means, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.